Hey everybody, I just wanted to move on with some of these videos. So in this video, I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I put into the science and tech folder. And you can see that I've already kind of changed how I've laid it out inside. But I've currently got things in, I've got meeting agendas in one folder, I've got lesson plan and gradebook templates in another, and then supply and ordering and bid lists, which is probably pretty self-evident. And there's this year's supply stuff. So there's our supply ordering, there's a sole source justification form from August, and the bid lists, which are just in there as PDFs. Great. Really fascinating stuff in there, I'm sure. Looking at it, meeting agenda is also just super fascinating. I still have those folders in there. I wonder if they're going to survive. I guess we'll find out. And then I've got the slides that from the 6th and the agenda from the 6th as well as your seat stuff. But again, I just really think it's useful to have all that stuff in one place that you can go to in your life in order to get access to it. So hopefully you do as well. Let's look at the lesson plan and gradebook templates for a little bit. So just as a reminder, you do not have to use these documents, and you could use them. You could use something very much like them, or you could totally write everything out by hand. It's totally fine. But I'm a digital creature, and it makes my life easy. So I figured I'd show you guys what these look like. Lesson plan templates. We've seen the tenured teacher lesson plan template before. It's got a page in front of it. It actually has its own video on how to use it in order to actually make it work correctly. So I would definitely check that video out. I'm not going to play that video here for you. This is an untenured teacher lesson plan template using the PAR format. So you can see these things here. You feel free to change any of the formatting you want. These are just the elements that need to be in the plan. So for both of these, what you're going to do is you're going to right click on it and then make your own copy, right? So you're going to make a copy of it. And then once you have made your copy of it, on your copy, you're going to probably change the title so that it's like your last name or whatever it is, and lesson plans, and then you're going to share it. And so you definitely want to make sure that I have editor access or commenting access. So you can just put my email address in there, knufke.d@deerparkschools.org, and you can click this box. Either editing or commenting access would be great. I would just love to be able to tell you that I love what I'm looking at. I'm not going to leave nasty comments on your lesson plans, I absolutely promise. So just make sure that you've given me that access. But if you don't, I'm not going to get too crazy as long as I can see them. With the untenured lesson plans, you're probably going to want to make your own folder of untenured lesson plans. You'll do that in your drive. And then you can just share that folder with me, and I have access to all the stuff in there. So, and of course, if none of this makes sense, you can always let me know and we can sit down and do it together. Definitely. I've got some gradebook stuff also going on here. So if we look in here, we go to gradebook templates. I've got 2 different templates currently. Maybe there'll be other ones. I don't know. You guys will tell me. And definitely also, if you're out there and you feel like you've got a better electronic way of doing this, please let me know. I definitely want to know about it, and I totally want to steal it. But of course, I'll give you credit. Let's look at the lab accounting template. This is something that I had that really worked well for me, and maybe you'll find it works well for you. And it gets rid of the need to actually sort labs into lab folders, which I thought was a really cool thing. So on this page, you just put the name of the lab and the number of minutes, and it will calculate the total number of lab minutes over here. It's just set to do that. And then here in the class template, you would put the student name here, and then you would put the title of the lab up here and the number of minutes it was. And I was just filling this in with the number of minutes that each kid did. If they did it, I gave them those number of minutes. And then over here at the end, it calculates out the total number of minutes that each kid has. So when we talk about lab eligibility at the, March-ish point of the year, you can just look at this and you'll know which kids have it and which kids don't. So that's one way to do it. You can duplicate this, both of these as you need them. If you want to just keep the templates, I mean, the minute template, you don't really need duplicate minute templates, but maybe you want to run one for each class. That's fine. You could totally do that. Certainly for the class template, you could do that too. Or you could just put all the kids from each class on the same spreadsheet, because there's 1 million rows on the spreadsheet. So you probably have fewer kids than that. I would probably just then select a row and make it fill it in black, just as a nice visual separator for your own inputting purpose. Not for me, I don't care, but for your own inputting purpose, that might make it easier. I also have conditional formatting set here, so like if there's a number that goes in here, apparently I cleared off the conditional formatting. Don't worry about it. We can I can set that up for you if you want. It's a way to color code cells depending upon what's going on in it, and that might make it more visually able to see what's going on. If kids are missing a lot, you might be able to see that. But there's a million ways you can get around that, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But so that's the lab accounting template. You would just, again, make copies into your own drive for your own usage. And then I have this assignment tracking, which is really my digital gradebook. I've got 3 different types of sheets in here. So I've got a roster template. That's where I put the students' names, and I've set it up so that this formula over here will actually generate their deerparkschools.org email addresses, which might be useful for various websites. You might want to be able to get a list of them. You would just bring that down. It's not going to be able to do it right now because there's not another student in it. But if you put in the next student, like student 2, you can see that it is going to turn that into the kid's properly formatted email address. Now, some kids do have little weird tweaks in their formatting if they have very common names and the district has had to make more than one email address with the same base part to it. So that's just something to be aware of. But I thought that that was handy that it just generated the email addresses for the kids. I've got a homework template tracking document. It doesn't have to be homework. It could really be any assignment. You've got the students here. And what's nice is once you have them in the roster here, you can just select them all, copy them, and then just paste them into here, and they go in automatically, which I thought it was pretty handy. And then I've got the different assignments. I wonder if I actually kept my conditional formatting. Yeah, so I had this set for like 5-point assignments would go in as green, and things that weren't quite 5 points would go in as yellow, and things that were zeros would go in as red, so I could look at the entire sequence over a quarter or over a year and know what was going on. And then I was keeping little totals here. We can probably delete that. You don't really need that, but if you want it, you can probably figure out how to do it, or I'd be happy to help you over here. And then over here, I was going to total up the total number of minutes that these kids had. And if I remember, I'll set that before you guys get access to it, but I can also show you how to do that. Then I have an exam template over here. So again, student names, I have this currently set up for 2 classes, but you could set this up any way you want. And then you would just put in the various information you need for any particular exam. And you can do all sorts of cool things with it. And I'd be happy to talk with you about all of those cool things if you want at some point in the future. Just to show you what my gradebook looks like, so you can kind of see this. So this was AP exam tracking, practice exams, and the different scores that the kids were running. And I was just running that through this entire thing, and the kind of grades that it would accumulate to. I've got over here, we've got a homework template, so you can see some students were less conscientious about their homework than other students were. This is basically the way that I was using these things, and hopefully you can find ways to use them too. You don't have to use this. You could adapt this. You could do something similar to it. You could do your own thing entirely. It's totally up to you guys. I just figured it would be helpful to give you some options, things that have really made my life more easy. So hopefully you'll enjoy them. All right, take it easy. Bye.